So I want to give an example of a timeline shift where reality changes. Because as we shift in frequency, we shift in dimension, and we shift in timeline. Which also means that not only the future is different. Now, usually the fluctuation is so little that the differences don't make a big wave. You know, they don't. You don't even know. I mean, you wouldn't notice any. You wouldn't notice anyway in the future because that hasn't happened yet. That's not manifest yet. But in the past, so usually the fluctuation is so small that it's not like all of a sudden something is different in your reality where it's like that you notice it. When the shift is bigger, then then you can have those experiences of a different reality, being that the past has changed. However, usually this will always happen within the range of what you can grasp. Within the range of what you can grasp, and that might not be, that might be within the potential range. And that range is the bandwidth which, so to speak, you are allowed, which you have set for yourself at some level of yourself. Your higher self has set these diameters, this frame of reference where it wants to experience itself within these diameters. So it's all on purpose. It's all by conscious design, by divine design. Divine because it is at the level of consciousness where there is awareness of being the one, being a fractal of the one, of the divinity, full awareness of the divinity. Which means, it is divinity, knowing itself as divinity. So, the one light. There's not two lights. I mean, two lights, yes, in form, but not only are they connected, they are also one in their hearts, and they are of light. And there's no, I'm not talking about artificial light, I'm talking about natural light. There is one light. And in the end, all matter is densified light, because all atoms is what all matter is made out of. They're made out of light. In the end, they're waves. And light comes from, or is light born out of? The still point, the 0 point. Pure awareness. No thought, no frame of reference. Just this. Just this. Just this. Just this. Okay. This will all be, and probably already is, scientifically discovered, and I just can't say, like this and this and this and that. But this can all be scientifically. This is all what I'm saying here is absolutely in the alignment with all scientific evidence. And I'm not saying the established science where there's an agenda to give a certain image, which is coming from the shadow. That is, the shadow is the unconscious, and the shadow is pulling everything down and making fall asleep, making everything unconscious. And at the same time, it is always the soul's choice to it is part of the process, is to go into the shadow and then re-emerge, and perhaps the intention wasn't to go all the way in and fall, but that can happen. And certainly on the highest level, the falling is also part of creation. Because in the regathering of light, in the reascension, that's where everything is. That's how life on a physical level is created. And then once it has healed its shadow and re-emerged, it is conscious within a physical body. That is how God gives. So all that is, God is all that is pure light, and also the 0 point beyond the light, where there is nothing. There is no thing. There's absolutely no thing. So there's also no light. There's also no dark. There's no thing. It's just aware. It's complete stillness, complete potential of all life, and then light gets born out of that. Pure light. I call this God, all that exists and doesn't exist. So, and that is how God, this all that exists and doesn't exist, which is aware, gives birth to itself and comes into form. Ever more aware, ever more consciousness of what is, and understanding, scope of consciousness, scope of perspective into ever denser physical bodies. That's creation, experiencing itself. So the example I wanted to give about and then, shifting in vibration, and then the timeline shifts as well, is from a dream. And when we say dream, what I mean is when the body was sleeping at night, and then in my dream. However, reality is also a dream. It also has the same principles that we experience in a dream, is also here now, just like all dimensions are here now. It's only a matter, what shifts is your perspective. What shifts at night is your brain waves. So within that dream, I was in a situation, I realized that I had been in this, and this dream was going on for a long time, and it was arduous, and it was not fun at all. It was not fun at all. I was, okay, should I tell the dream? Well, yeah, it was hot. It was in a hot field. There were thousands of people. And I had to go to the bathroom so bad, and we were standing in a huge long line, and it just did never ever seem to get to the porta potty, or it wasn't actually porta potties, it was the bathrooms. A house where there was like a line of toilets, and that took forever. And once I got in there, it was like unbelievable. Like I had to go out backwards. There was no way I was going to go there. but I had to go so bad. And so then what happened was, after that was going on for a while, I realized there was this little bit of lucidity, a little bit of awareness there in me, that I was aware that it was a dream. And so I thought, actually, I just need to. Okay, how do I explain this now? Hold on, because I never put this into words. I thought, okay, I have to go to the bathroom. I can't go here. I don't want to go because there was no tree. There was nothing where I could go behind. I'm not going to go in front of all these people here, and I'm also not going to go in the field, because you don't go in the field because the food is grown in the field. But also because people would see me. So it's like, I can't go here, I have to go, I'm not going in there, so what am I going to do? And then I realized, because I was in that situation that was like extreme pressure, extremely unpleasant, I realized, hey, I realized it was a dream, that I only had to remember that, because I could see at the horizon there was a little village, and all I needed to do was remember that, even though at that point that was not the case, that I knew some people in that village where I could go and knock on their door and ask if I can use their bathroom. I knew that all I needed to do was believe that, and then it would be true. How was this? Because you can't believe something that is not true. So, but what was that sense? It's a dream. So all I need to do is believe. And the moment I had that thought, here's what happened. The moment I had that thought, it shifted in a completely natural way. It was like, oh my God, I do know people in that village. And it was done. Because that was the solution. I knew in that moment, the memory was there that I did know people in that village, and I could go there and use their bathroom. Solution. Problem solved. And I woke up, and it was like, wow, because I went through that whole process of where I didn't know people in that village, and then I had that thought, I would just have to, this is a dream, I would just have to believe, shift to a version of the dream where if I would just know people there, I could knock on their door, and instantly that it was the memory of that is a reality. So that's how I shifted timelines. And what gave me the possibility of doing that was that little bit of lucidity, which means knowing it's a dream, knowing reality in its nature, knowing yourself in your nature, knowing that you are the creator of the dream, you are the dreamer of this dream. At that level where you do set the parameters for the dream, so it was that level of consciousness that I had access to. That's the little bit of lucidity, the little space, the little opening within that story, within that identification with that dream, which was, this is a dream. And what is the principles of a dream? What is the quality of a dream? Is that it is malleable, that it is fluctuating, and that it morphs itself according to your beliefs, according to your perspective. And your beliefs, there's that part that you are aware of. I believe in this and that, but it's still a belief. And then there's that whole slew of beliefs, that whole part of the branches of that tree of belief system, of thoughts, which all also have an electrical, they all have a frequency. Thoughts have a frequency, and there are those thoughts that vibrate in harmony with the soul, which are beliefs that are not based in fear. There's many, many, many beliefs that make up our frame of reference that have nothing to do, that are not based in fear and separation, and that still shape your reality. And then there are those beliefs that are based in fear, that are based in the belief that you are separate from life, that you are separate from God, separate from the light, that you are a separate being. And they do not resonate and vibrate in harmony with the soul body there, with the soul and the light body, which is at your soul at that level of awakening, that it knows itself as a soul, and then continuing on into the soul collective. But also there is a limit, because it is the soul that is, as the soul is being embodied, which means as your body and identified being wakes up to itself as the soul. With that, the soul grows also. So the soul expands, and the soul's consciousness also expands into its greater collective that it is connected to. So as I was aware this is my dream, I knew that I could consciously choose. And this is what happens, the more lucid a dream is that even before I'm aware of it, my greatest joy is instantly manifest, instantly shows up. So in a lucid dream, even before, I want to say before, or at the same time as I think of something that I would like to have or do, the whole dream lends itself to that. But it's more than that, because when it's a deeper, even deeper lucidity, it is that you don't even get to come to that place of, oh, I would like to do this or that, because you're doing it. You're doing it. It's like you're completely aligned, and everything lends itself to your greatest desire, what you're doing. And that's how it is on the highest level. Even when here in this density where we are identified, we are suffering, on some level of ourselves, this is consciously chosen, because that part of ourselves experiences and knows the growth that is, it's like when you have a seed of an oak tree. In order for that seed to sprout, to break open, it needs a lot of pressure. Like an incredible amount of pressure is conducted. Or a butterfly. It's an incredible amount of pressure when inside of the cocoon, and perhaps even, let's say, painful. Let's just say painful, and it's an incredible struggle for the butterfly to come out. But maybe, let's just say, I don't believe that it's painful for the butterfly, and I don't believe that the butterfly is suffering as it is coming out of the cocoon. But let's just take that picture, because we do suffer, and beings, and butterflies can suffer, and all, especially all animals. Insects can suffer too, but the greatest suffering is with animals and humanoid beings in a physical body. That is where the greatest suffering takes place. The greater part of that being, the deeper soul, the expanded self of that soul, what we call, we are multidimensional. It is our self in a higher dimension, and we are connected to that. And the body expands, ever lighter, ever lighter, ever lighter. At some level, that is consciously happening. You know, it is noticing that its tip, that a part of itself is suffering. But it also knows, just like it would watch a butterfly free itself out of the cocoon, it will not break that cocoon open so that there is no struggle for the butterfly. It will not take away that suffering from us, as it also sees the whole thing. It sees the whole, and it sees how this is chosen, because it can see what this will bring forth. This suffering will bring forth. It will bring forth greater awakening in greater embodiment. So that is why no suffering is in vain, even though it seems that way. But it is all, at some level of existence, it is chosen. Because if it wouldn't be that way, at any moment, God can stop it. Almighty can stop it. There is nothing wasted, and there is nothing in vain. However, at the densest level, there is suffering. There seems to be suffering in vain, and there seems to be such a thing as waste and mistakes and so forth. That is all part of that structure. That's all part of that dimension, part of that experience. It is all part of the suffering experience, which is squeezing and bringing us into the lower dimensions. And that way it's bringing the light into the lower dimensions. And when we heal that suffering, we come full circle. And then all of us, and when we awaken even further, then there is a direct God, pure light flow into the densest. That is like full circle. So that would be, let's say, for example, a being, say a human being, in a physical body with full in what we call enlightenment, full pure awareness, pure God consciousness. And that is what a being like that is called a rishi. In the Vedic tradition. In the Vedic tradition, in that frame of reference, it has that name. It is recognized as that, or it's called the Buddha in the Buddhist tradition. In our tradition, it would be called the Christ, because at the level it happens already at sixth dimension, when all of your body is vibrating. Or is it all your body, or is it your full awareness and consciousness? But then your body would also be vibrating at the sixth dimension. But that means you're still visible here because when you ascend, you take your body with you. I mean, that's the whole thing. Yeah, you ascend, you take your body with you. That's the whole idea. Because otherwise, you die, and then you die. The body dissolves, so the body dies. And you're back in your soul consciousness, where it was the combination of where you were and where the soul was. It's not two. So where the soul was when it wakes back up to itself. That's where it is in consciousness. But ascension happens in a physical body, otherwise it's not called ascension. That's why ascension can first happen after descension, after after densification. Then the enlightenment can happen in the body. Okay.